You lie in bed, your body still and heavy with rest, and your breath slow and steady, a quiet rhythm like the ocean washing gently against a dark shore. Around you, the room is quiet, the light dim. The world outside has softened into silence. Somewhere, beyond the clouds, beyond the reach of even your wildest dreams, the stars begin to blink awake. One by one, they glow, small, steady lanterns scattered across the fabric of night. You feel their presence, distant and calm, as though the universe itself is watching over you. Tonight, we drift not into sleep, but into space, a gentle journey beyond the familiar. Above your roof, past the atmosphere, past the blue curve of Earth, lies a world of invisible motion. Planets whirl quietly around suns that never rise here. Moons follow in their orbits like dancers bound by ancient choreography. The air between stars is thin and cold, yet not empty, never empty. There is always something waiting, and you wonder, as you rest deeper, is someone else out there breathing, too? You know the feel of breath, the cool pull of air through your nose, the soft swell of your chest, the gentle release. Oxygen comes in, carbon dioxide flows out. Your lungs are leaves, drinking the invisible nectar of Earth's sky. Breath is your companion, your unnoticed guardian. It nourishes every corner of your body. But is that how life always breathes? Or is that just how you do it, here, on this pale, familiar planet? Imagine another world. Not Earth, not even close. A world where the air is not made of oxygen at all, but of something stranger, heavier, colder, more slippery. Picture a planet far from our sun, orbiting a dim orange star. Its skies are thick with haze. The wind smells not of rain or salt, but of chemicals you've never tasted. In the air, methane, not breathable for you, but perhaps precious to something else. You pull the covers a little closer, as if bracing for a chill from that distant world. This place is cold, unimaginably so. Its rivers are not water, but liquid methane. Its rain falls in slow, oily drops. Yet even here, in a place so alien, scientists wonder, could something be alive? You've heard of methane before. On Earth, it's gas for fire, for fuel. It burns, it bubbles, it belongs in pipes. It's not something you think of as living, but chemistry doesn't care what we're used to. It cares only for rules. And in the cold quiet of deep space, those rules may shape life in new and surprising ways. Perhaps on one of these methane-rich planets, life has found a way. Not life like us, no forests, no birdsong, no lungs or leaves, but something slower, something stranger. It might breathe methane the way you breathe air. It might exchange gases in ways your cells cannot even imagine. It might live in the darkness, glowing faintly from inside, like deep-sea creatures do here on Earth. You're not alone in asking this question. Astronomers, chemists, dreamers all have looked to Titan, Saturn's largest moon, and wondered. Titan has lakes of methane, clouds of methane, even rainstorms. It's the only other place in the solar system where liquid flows on the surface, like water does here. And where there is flow, there is change. And where there is change, there can be life. But this kind of life would be slow. Methane doesn't have the rush and sparkle of water. It moves gently. It flows like syrup. Reactions inside a methane-breathing body might happen at a glacial pace, minutes instead of seconds, hours instead of minutes. Their time might not be your time. Their warmth might come from chemistry, not sunlight. Their breath might burn ever so slightly, like a flame held in a jar, never going out. And what would that breath feel like to them? Would it be as automatic and unnoticed as yours is now? Would it bring them comfort, a sign they are alive, still pulsing, still present on their strange, quiet world? You turn softly under your blanket, imagining eyes not like yours, maybe no eyes at all, blinking open under a sky thick with orange mist. A soft body shaped for methane and dark, cold air. Something curled beside a methane stream, listening to the slow trickle of its version of rain. Something alive. You do not need to see it to believe in a possibility. The stars themselves remind you there is so much more than what we know. You are not small, but part of something vast. Your body made of stardust. Your breath shaped by ancient oceans. And far away, other bodies may be forming, other breaths beginning. Perhaps life is not rare, but simply strange, hidden, waiting, breathing, not oxygen, but other things. Living not in sunlight, but in shadow. The night deepens, and with it, your curiosity. What is breath, really? What does it mean to be alive? To draw in something from the world and let something else go. As you drift into stillness, that question floats beside you like a feather. What is breath, really, if not the gentle exchange between self and universe? You breathe in, you breathe out. It happens whether you think about it or not. A soft, constant wave moving through you, like the tide beneath a quiet moon. It is the rhythm of your life, invisible, reliable, ancient. But have you ever paused to wonder what breath really is? Not just the air itself, not just oxygen and nitrogen and carbon dioxide, but the act, the exchange, the invisible dance your body performs with the world around it. You take something in, and you let something go over and over without needing to ask. A silent partnership with the sky. Here on Earth, breath means air. You breathe in oxygen, and your body uses it to unlock the energy hidden in your food. A whisper of sun caught in leaves, transferred through animals, passed down to you in warm meals and sweet fruit. Oxygen fans that inner fire, not a blaze. You can see, but a slow, steady glow deep within every cell. You are not burning like a candle, but something gentler. A flickering warmth that never stops as long as breath continues. Your lungs are like tree branches turned inward. Their branches, bronchi, alveoli, spread and divide into ever smaller paths, each ending in a tiny, soft balloon. There, your breath touches your blood. And without a sound, the exchange begins. Oxygen slips in. Carbon dioxide slips out. A trade as ancient as animals. A quiet, invisible conversation. But step back from your own body for a moment. Step back from Earth. What is breath, really? Breath is a way of touching the environment. It's how life gathers what it needs from the world and lets go of what it doesn't. It is not always air. It does not always involve lungs. In fact, many creatures don't breathe the way you do at all. Fish, for example, pull oxygen from water. Some insects breathe through holes in their sides, their bodies whispering directly to the world. Bacteria don't even breathe in the way we use. They exchange gases through their membranes. No lungs, no nose, no exhale. They simply exist in connection with their surroundings. And here is the most gentle truth. Breath is not a substance. It is a relationship. A relationship between inside and outside. Between the living and the environment. Between the self and the not self. Even trees breathe in a way. Their leaves open up to the air, drinking in carbon dioxide, breathing out oxygen. Their rhythm is slower than yours, measured not in seconds, but in seasons. A whole forest takes one long breath in summer and lets it go in winter and beyond Earth. If breath is simply the exchange of energy and matter with the outside world, then who is to say it must be oxygen, or that it must involve lungs? If life arises on a world where methane is everywhere, in the air, in the lakes, in the sky, then that life will learn to breathe methane. It will find a way to take in what surrounds it and transform it into something meaningful, something living. Imagine it gently, a creature not cold, but built for cold. Its lungs, if it has them, do not seek oxygen, but methane. Its blood carries not iron, like yours, but something else. Maybe copper. Maybe something entirely unknown. Its breath does not feed fire, but sustains a different kind of energy. A slower kind. A kind fit for a world where sunlight barely reaches the surface. In chemistry, the idea of respiration simply means breaking down molecules to release energy. On Earth, we use oxygen to do this, but it's not the only way. Some microbes use sulfur, others use nitrate. Some even use metals like iron or manganese. Life is not picky, only clever. So what is breath? Breath is not a thing. It is a way for life to balance itself with its environment, a process of receiving and returning, of being open, of transforming what is outside into something usable inside, and gently letting go of what's no longer needed. In that sense, breath is a kind of listening. You breathe in, you take in the world. You breathe out, you give something back, without force, without urgency, just as it is. A soft pulse of being dot. And when we imagine alien life, we do not have to imagine something that breathes like us. We simply have to imagine something that exchanges, something that interacts with its world in a way that keeps it alive. The specifics may be strange. Methane instead of oxygen, silicon instead of carbon, ice instead of water. But the relationship remains. The rhythm, the flow, the breath. You are resting now, and your own breath continues, slow and full, in and out, quiet and true. You may never visit those distant planets. You may never smell methane rain or touch a frozen alien sea. But in this moment, you are connected to them all, because you, too, breathe. You, too, are part of the universe's gentle rhythm, this endless inhaling and exhaling of stars, of planets, of lives. So, as your body settles into stillness, you carry this small knowing with you. Breath is more than just air. It is how the universe keeps time. Imagine a world where water is never wet. You float above its surface in your mind. A pale, hazy orb spinning slowly beneath a thick golden sky. This is not Earth. There is no blue, no green, no warmth rising from soil. The sun here is only a distant glow, like a dying ember, casting long amber shadows across a frozen plain. The air is heavy with methane and nitrogen. The wind moves slow, patient, brushing over dunes that shift like whispers. This world is Titan, Saturn's largest moon, a place colder than you've ever felt, colder than ice, yet alive with motion. It is strange to think of life without warmth. But here, something remarkable happens. Rain falls, but not of water. Methane, the same gas that fuels flames on Earth, gathers in clouds, condenses, and pours from the sky in slow, steady drops. Rivers carve their way across Titan's surface. Lakes rest in wide, dark basins. Even seas stretch across the land, not of water, but of liquid methane, as calm and alien as dreams. And this methane, it doesn't burn here, it flows. The temperatures are far too cold for fire, but perhaps just right for something else, something new. Could a body be built to swim in methane? Could cells hold it, cycle it, breathe it? Scientists wonder, not because they've seen life here, but because all the ingredients are present. Chemistry doesn't need comfort. It only needs possibility. Imagine a form, small and slow, drifting in a methane sea. It does not warm itself as you do. It does not need sunlight. It absorbs what it needs from its environment, exchanging, balancing, continuing. Its breath is subtle, its movements patient. Perhaps it does not think, perhaps it does, but it lives quietly in the hush of a world where water is solid and methane flows free. The Earth is not the only stage for life. Titan reminds us of that. It whispers gently of another kind of biology, one colder, one stranger, one that rewrites the story of what life must be. And as you lie here, still and soft, your body warm beneath layers of blankets, you remember, not all life needs what you need. The universe is not built in your image. It is deeper, more generous, more mysterious, and somewhere under golden clouds, a ripple forms across a sea of methane. Asterisk. You close your eyes and imagine life, not human life, not animals, not trees, something else entirely. Something that moves slowly, perhaps without bones, without skin, without eyes. And yet, it lives. You may be used to thinking of life in your own image. It's natural. You know warmth, movement, hunger, breath. You know beating hearts and blinking eyes, lungs filling and emptying. But those are Earth's instructions, Earth's version of survival. What if, elsewhere, the blueprint is written in a different script? Let's float gently toward that idea. Start with the basics. Life, wherever it exists, must solve certain problems. It must find energy. It must build structure. It must protect itself from harm and adapt to change. These aren't Earth problems. They are universal ones. But the solutions, they could be wildly different. You are made of carbon, flexible, generous carbon with its ability to form millions of shapes. And water, the perfect solvent, liquid in just the right temperature range. Your cells rely on oxygen to help break down sugars, to power movement and thought. But what if a creature evolved in a place where carbon wasn't the best option? What if water was a crystal, always frozen? What if oxygen was poison? Then life, if it exists, would adapt. It might be built from silicon, a cousin of carbon, a little less flexible but sturdy. Maybe its bones, if it has bones, are not made of calcium, but glassy strands of silicate shimmering under a methane sky. Maybe it breathes not oxygen, but hydrogen, or ethane, or methane itself. Imagine this creature. Slowly, patiently, it moves across frozen terrain. Its skin, if it has skin, is thick and rubbery to protect it from the biting cold. Inside, there is no warmth like yours, no heartbeat, but there is movement. There is intention. There is something it wants, even if it doesn't want it the way you do, and perhaps it doesn't move at all. Perhaps it is more like a colony, a living lake, a patch of reactive material spread thinly across the surface of an alien sea. It pulses with energy drawn from the chemicals in its world. It sends signals not through nerves, but through slow chemical ripples. It doesn't blink, it doesn't sleep, but it reacts. It adapts, it survives. Would you call it alive? Many scientists would, because life, at its essence, is not about how you look or how you breathe. It's about the ability to take in energy, to change, to reproduce, to persist. Life is resilience. Life is complexity. Life is self-contained mystery. On Earth, extremophiles show us how flexible life can be. In radioactive waste, in frozen lakes sealed off for millions of years, these creatures stretch the rules of what life can tolerate. They teach us that life isn't fragile. It's determined. It reaches for survival in every corner it can find. So why not imagine life on Titan, or on a distant exoplanet where methane reigns and the temperature never climbs above -200 degrees Celsius? Maybe something swims beneath the surface of a methane lake, its body adapted to move through liquid gas. Maybe it filters molecules from the fluid like a sponge. Maybe it doesn't think, but it senses. And maybe sensing is enough. The challenge is not whether such life can exist, but whether we can recognize it. We search for signs of life using tools built from Earth's expectations. We look for oxygen in atmospheres, water on surfaces, carbon-based chemistry. But if life is truly alien, if it breathes methane, and uses completely different molecules to store information. We might not even know it when we see it. It might not leave the same kinds of traces. It might not glow under the light of our instruments, and still it could be there, quietly alive, patiently existing. Think about that. Right now, as you lie in your bed, there may be creatures far away, under skies you'll never see, that are just as real as you. They do not look up at the stars. They do not build cities, but they belong to the universe just as you do. Their existence, if it is real, widens the definition of life itself. You are no longer the measure of all things. You are part of the variety, and that's not frightening. It's beautiful because it means life is not a rare jewel hidden in one corner of the cosmos. It may be a thread woven through many places, different colors, different shapes, but the same need to reach, to react, to persist. So, when you imagine alien life, release the need for it to look like you. Let it be strange. Let it be slow. Let it be unlike anything you've known. Asterisk, because life, true life, is often quieter than we expect. Somewhere far beyond your window, beyond the drifting clouds and the hush of your sleeping city, Saturn spins. Not with noise, but with a kind of steady grandeur, a silent king wrapped in golden rings, and orbiting close to its side, like a loyal moon keeping its secrets, is Titan. You've heard its name before. A moon, they say, a frozen world. But Titan is more than that. It is a whisper of something familiar in the middle of everything alien. It is strange, but not unreachable. It is quiet, but not empty. Tonight, as your breath slows and your limbs grow heavy, let yourself drift across the distance, across the black ocean of space, past Mars and Jupiter and the shimmering bands of Saturn, and there, gently glowing, faintly gold, shrouded in mist, is Titan. It's larger than Mercury. It has a thick, smoggy atmosphere, the only moon in the solar system to carry such a thing. Its air is made mostly of nitrogen, like Earth's, but laced with methane and ethane, and a thick haze that turns the sky to honeyed amber. There is no sunlight here, not as you know it. Just a dim, filtered glow that barely makes it through the clouds. It casts long shadows across icy plains and dark, oily seas. But Titan does not complain. Titan simply waits. Rain falls here slowly, deliberately, in droplets of methane. They gather into rivers. They wind through channels carved into solid ice. They fill wide, shimmering lakes and vast seas with names like Kraken Mare and Lygia Mare. But these seas are not water. They are methane and ethane, liquid at minus 180 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze even your thoughts. And still, there is motion. There is flow. There is a kind of weather. And where weather exists, the possibility of change follows. And where there is change, life is never too far behind. Scientists have dreamed aloud about Titan. They've imagined submarines slipping into its dark lakes, probes gliding down through its thick clouds, balloons riding the high winds to map its surface. Some even wonder if Titan, so cold and so alien, might hold its own version of life, not in spite of the cold, but because of it. It wouldn't be life like yours, not soft and warm, not carbon and water, but maybe something else, something born of methane and cold and time, something that breathes in a way you do not understand, something that lives in the quiet. If you walked on Titan slowly, carefully, through a pressurized suit, your feet would crunch against icy sand. Above you, the sky would seem heavy and orange. Saturn would loom in the distance like a painting come alive. And all around you, silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of potential. It would feel like standing at the edge of a story not yet written. There is a theory, soft and speculative, that Titan could have prebiotic chemistry, meaning the early ingredients of life might be gathering, mixing, waiting, not alive yet, but almost. A cradle, still rocking itself, patient for the right spark. Just like Earth once was, long before breath or bone or heartbeat. And who's to say that spark hasn't already arrived? Maybe in the dark corners of those lakes, something stirs. A flicker of reaction. A slow, silent metabolism, powered not by oxygen, but by chemistry unknown to you. Maybe it's too quiet for our tools to hear, too cold. Too slow, but still alive in its own way. Titan doesn't boast. It doesn't shout. It whispers through its thick skies, through the soft splash of methane raindrops, through the long shadows that crawl across frozen dunes. It whispers, I might be more than you imagine. You shift gently under your blankets, and in the quiet space between waking and sleep, Titan becomes a mirror. A reminder that the universe is not built in your likeness. That the conditions for life may be far more flexible than we've dared to believe. What matters is not warmth or sunlight or the blueprint we know. What matters is the capacity to adapt, to build, however slowly, towards something that responds, something that reacts, something that stays, and perhaps that something already exists, a form that drifts gently in a sea of methane, that absorbs molecules through a membrane of wax or crystal that stores energy in ways we can't yet imagine. D does not need to be fast. It does not need to be smart. It only needs to endure. You may never go to Titan. You may never see its skies with your own eyes. But the act of imagining it brings you closer, not to the moon itself, but to the idea that life, in all its forms, is broader, deeper, hotter than we've ever known. And isn't that comforting? That you live in a universe where, even in the coldest corners, something might be reaching for connection in slow motion, in chemical breath, in the ripple of black waves under a copper sky. You rest now, wrapped in warmth, while Titan spins in the dark. Neither of you alone, both of you part of the same unfolding story. And if Titan whispers, you are listening. Asterisk, you may not hear it, but your body speaks a language, a soft and ancient tongue, written not in words, but in atoms. Every moment of your life, even as you rest beneath the stars, a silent conversation continues inside you. Carbon speaks to hydrogen. Oxygen leans into nitrogen. Bonds form, break, and reform again. A language of motion, of balance, of exchange. A language older than breath. This is the language of chemistry, and it is not unique to Earth. You don't often think of yourself as a vessel of molecular poetry, but you are. Every heartbeat, every thought, every moment of calm is possible because tiny molecules are talking, finding each other, dancing gently together, building what you need and releasing what you do not. It is a language without sound, yet it shapes everything you are. Now imagine that same language, spoken differently, on a distant planet where water is never liquid and warmth is a stranger. Molecules still move. They still find one another. They still reach for balance. And in that reaching, something new begins. The rules of chemistry do not belong to Earth alone. They are not bound by soil or sky. They are written into the very fabric of matter. Universe, wherever it spreads, follows the same deep grammar. But like all languages, it can be spoken in many dialects. Here, on Earth, carbon is our storyteller. It binds with ease, forms long chains and complex shapes, flexible, creative, stable. Water, too, is a master translator, dissolving, delivering, holding space for life's many needs. These two, carbon and water, form the base of biology as you know it. But what about worlds where water is absent, where carbon is present but cold, or where entirely different players take the stage? On Titan, on frozen exoplanets, on moons hidden in the dark, chemistry may speak in other voices. Take methane, a simple molecule. one carbon for hydrogens. On Earth, it's fuel. But elsewhere, it might be the medium of life itself. In Titan's deep lakes, methane doesn't burn. It flows, it surrounds. It enters into quiet conversations with other molecules, catalyzed by cold, driven by gravity, shaped by time. Could methane serve as a solvent the way water does here? Some scientists think so. At Titan's temperatures, methane is liquid and stable, able to dissolve certain gases, carry compounds, and allow reactions to unfold slowly, patiently. The pace would be glacial, but life does not need to rush. And instead of proteins as we know them, maybe alien cells use something else, long, waxy molecules that flex and hold, forming membranes that resist the cold. Maybe their genetic code, if they have one, isn't based on DNA, but on a different ladder made of different rungs, held together by the same longing to endure. You do not need to understand every equation to feel the wonder of this. Just as Earth life uses sugar as energy, another life form may use acetylene or hydrogen. Instead of breaking down oxygen to release energy, it might use a methane reaction. Each reaction is a sentence. Each molecule, a word. Each spark of energy, a thought. And like all languages, some forms of chemistry are easier to speak in some environments. Earth speaks fluent water carbon. Titan might speak methane hydrocarbon. Somewhere else, under pressure unimaginable, life might form with sulfur or ammonia. Even iron or silicon may take the place of more familiar partners. The rules are the same. The expressions are endless. There is a quiet truth buried in this. Life is not tied to ingredients, but to relationships, to the way matter interacts with matter, how it builds patterns, how it stores and uses energy. This is life's true alphabet, not what it's made of, but how it speaks, and the universe is listening already. On Earth, we see glimpses of this diversity. Microbes that live in vents at the bottom of the sea, breathing sulfur and living in darkness. Bacteria that eat metals. Organisms that thrive in acid pools. Even here, at home, the language of chemistry is more varied than you might think. So, it is not so hard to believe that on a cold moon beneath Saturn's rings, or on a rogue planet drifting without a sun, a different kind of chemistry might be unfolding. Not chaotic, not random, but deliberate, structured, alive as you rest tonight. Your own body is a quiet translator of chemistry. Molecules slide through your blood, nestle into receptors, unlock doors. They deliver calm, sleep, healing. They follow pathways carved by evolution, by ancient necessity, but life elsewhere may have carved its own. And that, perhaps, is the most comforting idea of all. That the universe does not rely on a single formula. That it permits variation, experimentation, new voices. That life is not a single story, but a chorus, chorus, a chemistry of many dialects, many songs, many ways to endure. You lie still now, warmed by your own familiar biology. But far away, beneath thick clouds and unfamiliar skies, something else may be stirring, a slow unfolding of molecules, writing their own poetry. A new language, soft and strange, shaped by ice and time. And though you cannot yet read it, you can feel its rhythm. Your body, here on Earth, is a symphony of water. Every cell, every beat, every breath flows on liquid currents. Water dissolves, delivers, regulates, soothes. It is the stage on which your molecules perform. But what if water were never an option? Far beyond our planet's warm blue seas, there are worlds where water freezes hard or boils into space before it can ever settle. And yet, even there, in the chill, in the dark, the universe continues to experiment, to whisper new forms into being. So tonight, as your limbs grow heavy and your mind grows soft, imagine this question drifting through the stars. How do you build a body? Without water, begin with a different solvent. One that stays liquid at unearthly temperatures. Methane, ethane, ammonia, liquids that do not nourish you, but that might be the lifeblood of something else. Imagine a cell floating in a methane sea where water would freeze solid. This cell does not fear the cold, it is born of it. Its skin is not a lipid membrane like yours, but perhaps a layer of hydrocarbon wax, strong yet flexible, protecting the chemistry inside from the stillness. Outside, its metabolism is slow, not lazy, just unhurried. In a world of cryogenic calm, time stretches, reactions do not rush. Energy is precious, and nothing is wasted. Instead of proteins, imagine long molecules of silicate or fluorocarbon, shaped by electric charge, rather than folding. Instead of enzymes bubbling in watery soup, this life form uses surface reactions along icy walls. Like fireflies crawling across a cave, it breathes differently, feeds differently, but it follows the same goal: to maintain itself, to replicate, to endure. And even here, in this alien body, the rules of life echo your own. There must be separation, an inside and an outside. There must be flow, a way to move materials, trade energy, signal change. And there must be memory, some way of holding onto pattern, of making more of what works. Could RNA be replaced? Could some icy crystal act as a scaffold for memory? A frozen scroll etched with chemical code. Scientists call this xenobiology, the study of possible alternate life forms that operate under different rules, not fantasy. Just a wider view of what's possible, and possibility is the soul of science. Even on Earth, life has found strange ways to be. Some microbes swap water for sulfuric acid inside their cells. Others survive years of total dryness, coming back to life with a single drop. These are reminders that biology is not as narrow as it sometimes seems. So when you wonder about life on distant moons or rogue planets, bodies without warmth, without oceans, you must not begin by asking what you would need to survive. You must ask instead, what does that world offer, and who might be built to belong to it? A silicon-based life form might move slower, think deeper. An ammonia-based cell might hum at temperatures far below your freezing. Or feeds on radiation might see no need for sunlight at all, and yet, in its own way, it would be alive, adapting, solving, repeating, continuing. That is the quiet miracle of life. It finds a way not to match a mold, but to fill the space it's given. It stretches, it flexes, it rewrites its own rules, and in doing so, expands our understanding of what alive can mean. As you sink deeper into the softness of rest, imagine such a body, not made of muscle and fluid, but of crystal and gas or gel and dust. A body shaped not by evolution on Earth, but by eons of chemistry under alien skies. It might not speak, it might not move as you do, but it holds something sacred, the rhythm of self-renewal, the flicker of response, the fragile fire of continuation. Even in silence, it speaks of something greater. You do not need to fear the strange. In fact, it is the strangeness that teaches you the most. By understanding how life might be, you better understand the life you already are. You are mostly water, yes, but you are also possibility, a reminder that life is not the exception. Life is the experiment. There is a quiet hand that touches everything. It has no voice, no warmth, no edges, and yet it pulls on every cell in your body, every atom in your bones. It anchors your feet to the floor. It holds the moon in the sky. It binds stars into galaxies, and galaxies into a universe. That hand is gravity. You live with it every day, though you rarely notice. You feel its soft insistence in the heaviness of your head on the pillow, in the slow descent of your exhale, in the way your spine yields to rest. Gravity is always there, patient, invisible, constant. But gravity is more than just a pull. It is the shape of space itself. Picture the universe not as a flat stage, but as a soft, stretching fabric. Every object, a planet, a star, a moon, presses down on this fabric, curving it gently. The greater the mass, the deeper the curve. And everything nearby rolls toward that dip, not because it's being yanked, but because the landscape has changed. You are not being pulled to the Earth. You are following the slope it makes in space now. Imagine that idea stretched across the cosmos. The sun bends space more than Earth does. A black hole bends it so deeply that even light cannot escape. And yet, these curves, these invisible rivers in the fabric of reality, allow for the dance of planets, the weaving of galaxies, the quiet grace of orbits. You exist inside a gentle whirl of motion spun by gravity's dream. Close your eyes. Let yourself float a little dot in the International Space Station. Astronauts drift, not because there's no gravity, but because they're falling, always falling, never landing. Their ship moves forward fast enough that its fall curves with the Earth, creating the illusion of weightlessness. They are inside its tender arms, caught in an endless embrace. Farther still, on other worlds, gravity dreams differently. On Mars, your steps would feel lighter. You would rise higher, land slower. Your muscles would remember a different rhythm. On Jupiter, you could barely stand. Your bones would groan under the pressure of being held too tightly. And yet, you would still be part of the same story, part of a dialogue between mass and space. Even black holes, those dark hearts of the cosmos, are not monsters, but musicians. Their gravity is so strong, it becomes a song, bending light, stretching time, echoing through space as gravitational waves. Those waves, ripples in the very fabric of everything, have been heard here on Earth. They arrive like whispers from collisions long ago, carrying the memory of movement. You are made of atoms, yes, but you are also shaped by motion, and gravity is the sculptor. Think of your body right now. Gravity tells your blood where to flow. It shapes the way your heart pumps, the curve of your spine, the pattern of your breath. Without gravity, even your cells behave differently. Bones lose their strength. Balance fades. The fluid inside your ears floats free. And your sense of up and down becomes a memory. You are not separate from gravity. You are written into its language. And so is every planet that circles a distant star. Their dance is not chaos, it is gravity's choreography. And from Earth, we can watch those tiny dips in starlight, those wobbles and shifts, and say, there is a planet there. Something is pulling. Gravity lets us discover what we cannot see. You cannot touch an exoplanet light years away. But you can feel its presence in a flicker of light, a delay in a pulse, a gentle tug on a star. Gravity becomes your eyes, your fingertips, your bridge to the unreachable dot. It even connects you to yourself inside your own body. Gravity has helped sculpt your brain, your senses, your bones. Your walk is an adaptation to this constant force. Your growth, your balance, your stability, all shaped by Earth's silent embrace. But what if you were born elsewhere, on a low-gravity world? You might leap across the ground like a deer in slow motion. Your muscles would be long and lean. Your bones, delicate but resilient. You might live in taller cities, stretch toward the sky, or on a high-gravity planet, you might crouch low, compact and strong. You'd conserve energy, move with purpose. Your buildings would hug the ground, and perhaps your culture would speak of weight as reverence, to be close to the earth, to feel its full presence. In every case, gravity would not just shape bodies, it would shape thought, movement, belief. It would shape you as you drift toward sleep now. Let your imagination stretch a little. Let it fall inward like a stone toward a quiet center. What would a world feel like where gravity was just a little different? Would your dreams float farther, unanchored and wild? Would they fall deeper, drawn to something unseen? Gravity does not end. It reaches out forever, diminishing but never vanishing. Even the smallest stone calls to the stars. So do you. You are a part of this dream, this bending, dancing, falling, not apart from the universe, but inside it, folded into the same curve. And as you rest tonight, feel that pull, not heavy, not harsh, just present. A soft reminder that you belong, here, now, always held by a force older than stars, and as intimate as your own breath. Time feels simple. At first you wake, you breathe, you blink. Moments pass, days turn, seasons circle. The clock ticks forward 1 second at a time, steady and unchanging. But time is not steady. Time is not even the same for everyone. It stretches, it bends, it curls and coils like wind over water. And as you rest now, let that thought wrap gently around Ya, because understanding time means stepping outside of it. Begin here on Earth. In your everyday rhythm, you measure time by movement. The turning of the Earth, the orbit of the moon, the swing of a pendulum, the flicker of a second hand. But what you're really measuring is change, and change does not happen evenly. Your heart doesn't beat with the precision of an atomic clock. Your thoughts drift and quicken. Time moves differently when you're dreaming, or waiting, or falling in love. It's not just a number. It's a feeling. Now float beyond Earth, and time begins to slip its leash high above the planet in orbit. Time moves faster for the astronauts aboard the International Space Station because they're moving quickly. At over 17,000 miles per hour, time slows down for them just a tiny bit compared to you. This is Einstein's theory of special relativity. The faster you move, the slower time flows for you. And it doesn't stop there. If you go deep into space, far from gravity, time flows quicker still. But descend toward a massive planet, or fall into the curve of a black hole's gravity, and time stretches, slows, resists. This is general relativity. Gravity bends time, even here on Earth. Time ticks differently at the top of a mountain than at sea level. Atomic clocks placed just meters apart will slowly fall out of sync. By billions of a second, yes, but real and measurable all the same. So what is time, truly? Not a ruler, not a line dot. It is the soft fabric space wears as it breathes, and like fabric, it folds. It sags, it stretches. Imagine standing near a black hole. From your perspective, a moment feels like a moment, but to someone far away, watching from a safe distance, your time appears to slow to a crawl. You wave your hand, but they see it in slow motion. Your seconds become their hours. Your hour becomes their century. And if you fell in, fully cross the event horizon, your time would stop altogether. As seen from outside, you'd be frozen forever, just at the edge. But to you, everything continues. You live your final seconds in peace, unaware that to the universe you've become a ghost of the present, eternally paused. This is not science fiction. This is what space-time does. And here, in the quiet of this night, perhaps that idea is less frightening than freeing, because time is not a wall. It is a wave, and you are a part of its motion. You've already experienced time in many shapes as a child. Summers stretched like whole lifetimes as an adult. Years pass in a blink. A long night of worry crawls endlessly, while a moment of joy slips away. Too fast. Time isn't fixed. It dances with your attention. It ripples with memory. It bends with gravity, and it shifts with speed. Now consider this. There may be places in the universe where time has flowed differently from the start, where stars burned more slowly, where life evolved in longer rhythms, where a moment might mean 1,000 Earth years, and a thought might take a century to form. Could such a being ever understand you? Could you understand it? And yet, you are both alive, just tuned to different tempos, even here on Earth. Life follows different clocks. Trees measure time in growth, rings and seasons, turtles in decades, bacteria in minutes, rocks in millennia, your body in heartbeats. So whose time is the real one? All of them. Time is not a master. It is a companion moving with you, not ahead or behind. It allows you to grow, to change, to remember. Memory, after all, is how you carry time within yourself. It is your own personal curvature, the way your mind bends the past into something present and dreaming. Dreaming is time let loose. A single second might hold a story. A quiet breath may carry hours as you slip into sleep now. You are stepping outside of time's usual shape. You are entering the part of your mind where time bends most gently, where cause and effect give way to imagination, where futures are glimpsed and pasts are rethreaded. Let yourself drift there. Let your breath slow and your body released. Time is not running out. It is flowing through you, softly, quietly, with the rhythm of your pulse and the hush of your thoughts. And if you listen closely, you may hear it not ticking, not marching, but breathing. Every story must find its ending. Even the stars, who seem eternal, eventually fade. Their glow is not forever. It is a precious, burning gift, one they give until they cannot give any more. And in that quiet fading, there is something gentle, something wise. Tonight, you rest beneath the same sky that holds these old stories. Starlight touches your skin, light that left its home before. You were born, still traveling, still arriving. You carry that light with you, even as you sleep. But what becomes of the stars when they sleep? Some swell into giants, glowing red with exhaustion, their cores trembling under the weight of fusion. Others collapse inward, quietly folding themselves into white dwarfs, small, dense, and glowing softly like memories held in crystal. The most massive stars burn quickly and end with thunder. They explode into supernova, brilliant, violent farewells that leave behind either a black hole or a neutron star, the densest hearts in the universe, even in endings. There is birth, supernova seed, the cosmos, with heavy elements, iron, gold, calcium, the bones of planets, the spark of new life. Your own blood carries iron, forged in a dying star. You are not just made of stardust, you are made of starless, and the stars that remain, they too will one day end billions of years from now. The last stars will flicker out, not with drama, but with grace. The universe will grow colder. Darker dot galaxies will stretch farther apart, and even the black holes will slowly evaporate, whispering away their mass into nothing. Some physicists call this the heat death, a slow, soft stillness where all energy has been used, all stories told, no motion, no light, just quiet. But is that truly an end? Or is it just a deep breath, a cosmic pause we can't yet understand? Your own sleep is a kind of small ending each night. You surrender. You let go of control, of identity, of movement, and in doing. So, your mind repairs itself. Your body renews. You emerge, not erased, but refreshed. Perhaps the universe, too, has its own rhythm of sleep and waking dot, a cycle too vast for any one lifetime to see. After all, endings are not always final. From the quietest atoms to the loudest galaxies, energy find ways to change, to recombine, to begin again. Even now, black holes, those supposed dead ends, may give rise to new beginnings. Some theories suggest that within them lies the seed of another universe, tucked into a wrinkle of space-time where time flows differently. We do not know for sure, but we know enough to wonder, and wonder is where hope lives. You would breathe so gently now, are part of this same vast unfolding. You are made of the same carbon as the trees, the same hydrogen as the sun, the same calcium as the bones of ancient fish. And when your body finally returns to the earth, it does not vanish. It nourishes, supports, transforms. Nothing is truly lost. Everything is shared. Even sleep gives back. It sharpens your mind, strengthens your heart, organizes your memories. It is not escape. It is restoration. So what if the universe, too, is sleeping? What if it is gathering itself for the next bloom? We look at the dark sky and call it empty, but it is full of matter we can't see, of energy we barely grasp, of time we haven't yet measured. There may be more ahead than behind, and even if the end comes, even if all stars go out, and time grows thin, and space stretches cold, it will not erase what has been. Every photon that ever traveled, every thought, every kiss, every idea, every leap of understanding will have existed, and that is enough. Because meaning is not given by permanence. Meaning is given by presence, and you. You are here now. That alone is miraculous. So as you breathe in the stillness of this final chapter, let your thoughts drift outward. Let them wander through fading galaxies, past the last warm stars, across the hush of cooling Neb, ULAE, and feel not fear, but softness. Feel the deep, unshakable calm of a cosmos that continues. Even in the dark, there is stillness, and in stillness, there is peace. You do not need to rush toward answers. You do not need to hold every moment tight. You can rest, just as the stars will rest, just as time itself may someday slow and still and stretch into something new. The universe does not hurry, and tonight, neither must you. Close your eyes, release the questions, let your breath fall gently. The starlight has done its work. The story is complete. For now, sleep, starlight, and the shape of the end, all are quiet. All are quiet. All are part of you. Before you drift fully into sleep, stay here just a little longer, not to learn more, but to feel more, to let the vastness you've explored settle gently within you, not as data, but as something softer, something like wonder. Wonder is not the same as curiosity. Curiosity seeks answers. Wonder simply feels. It stands still before the unknown and says, "Yes, I see you." And science, at its heart, begins not with equations, but with wonder. You were once a child who asked big, beautiful questions. Why is the sky blue? Where does the moon go? What happens when you fall asleep? No one taught you how to wonder. It came with you, and now, even as you grow older, that wonder remains. It may be quieter now, gentler, folded beneath daily thoughts, but it's still there, waiting for moments like this. Moments when you slow down, moments when your breath deepens, moments when your eyes are closed, but your imagination opens wide. Science does not make the world less magical. It reveals the magic that is real, that your heart beats in rhythm with electric pulses, that your eyes can see a star that died 1,000,000 years ago, that inside your cells are molecules whispering instructions passed down from ancient oceans. And isn't that more beautiful than anything we could invent? Wonder is what turns stardust into stories. It's what helps us see the poetry in photosynthesis, the elegance in gravity, the serenity in a snail's spiral shell. Even things we cannot touch, like time, emotion, music, dream shave, a place in the great scientific story. They are harder to measure, but no less worthy of awe. You don't need to be a scientist to feel this. You already are one in your questions, your reflections, your breath. You carry the whole method in your heart. Observe, imagine, explore, accept mystery as you've wandered through these chapters. You've followed the quiet trail of science as it weaves through the cosmos, from methane moons to the birth of stars. from alien chemistry to the edge of time, and through it all, one thread has stayed true. You belong here, not just as an observer, but as a participant. The universe is not something outside you. You are one of its expressions, brief, radiant, and alive. Even your thoughts, the silent stream flowing right now through your resting mind, are part of nature. The atoms that build them were born in stars. The electricity that powers them comes from food grown in light. Your brain is not separate from the cosmos. It is the cosmos wondering about itself. And wonder is the bridge. It lets you look up at the night sky and feel both small and important. It lets you hear about black holes or quantum fields and feel my invitation. It lets you ask not only what is this, but what does it mean to me? And that meaning matters. Science gives you the facts. Wonder gives you the reason to care. You care because it's beautiful, because it connects you to everything, to trees and stars, to oceans and orbits, to ancestors and atoms. And now, as you float near the edge of sleep, this final thought can rest gently with you. You do not need to understand everything to feel awe. You do not need to solve the mystery to be moved by it. In fact, it is often the not knowing that brings the deepest peace. Let yourself rest in that openness. Let your breath mirror the expanding universe, slow, silent, filled with space. Let your dreams wander through the galaxies you've imagined tonight, because wonder is not just for waking. It belongs in sleep. To dot it visits quietly in dreams of flying, in oceans made of light, in voices that speak from stars. And when you wake, it will still be there. You'll see it in the movement of a cat, the texture of a leaf, the curve of the moon. You'll hear it in a child's laugh, a storm's hush, a whisper of wind across glass. You'll feel it in your own heartbeat, that subtle echo of creation. You are here, alive, curious, connected. That is science. That is wonder. That is enough. So now, let your body soften. Let your thoughts drift. Let the night hold you. There are no more chapters, only silence, only rest, only the soft hum of a universe that loves to be noticed. Sleep well, traveler. The stars are still singing, and so are you.